Good evening, I'm Kelly Yoon. Tragedy in the city's Yorkville neighborhood this morning after a 24-year-old cyclist was killed when she collided with a dump truck. It happened at Bloor and Avenue during the morning rush. Police have identified the driver as a 39-year-old man. Chris Glover was at the scene and has the details.
Bloor Street is once again open, but through the morning it was closed for a police investigation as a cyclist was hit by that truck right there. And police say that the cyclist was traveling westbound in the bike lane. She exited the bike lane, and that's when that truck hit her, and she was pronounced dead on scene. I spoke with someone who saw paramedics trying to save her life.
It was traumatizing, to say the least, of course, but I'm just praying that the person is just alive and well and everything's fine, because I could only see like a certain part of it, and then we were told to like head inside, essentially, by a lot of people that were standing at the sidewalk right here. So yeah, it was quite a lot, of course, so I can imagine.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to be the one to tell you this, but the person actually passed away.
Oh no. Oh, yeah, that's really sad. Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
Police say the driver of that truck stayed on scene and is cooperating with the investigation. They don't believe that there will be any charges in this case, but their investigation obviously continues, and they still have not determined why the cyclist left the cycle track. But I spoke with a number of cyclists who are in this area, and they pointed out this piece of construction equipment that you see right here. Obviously, it's firmly in the cycle track there, and they hypothesized that that's why she would have tried to leave the bike lane as she did this morning. They say that any sort of obstacle like this in the bike lane is incredibly dangerous. And I talked with one cyclist this morning who says she uses this route each and every day. And she says seeing an incident like this is terrifying for her, and it is going to stay with her.
I'm just looking at the scene, and I'm just like looking at the blood and the helmet down and the bike down, and like I'm biking to work right now. I take this route every day. So I just kind of paused for a minute to just be like, that could be any one of us. And I know that cycling right now has been like, it's been a lot more accidents, and I'm just a little bit like blown a little by what I'm seeing. But my heart hurts for the blood on the ground and the helmet that looks a bit broken. And so kind of biking over to work right now with a heavy heart.
Now, this year has been particularly deadly for cyclists in Toronto. Just on Avenue Road, right to the north, a cyclist was killed there also by a truck just in April of this year. And with this incident as well, that brings the number to 5 this year alone. That is the most since Vision Zero started in 2016 in a single year. And here we are only in July. A lot of folks within the cycling community say something needs to be done.
We often see it in the city. I don't know specifically what happened. What we do know is in the curb lane, there's an obvious construction material that's blocking the lane, a big bin. It's something we point out often to the city. Get these materials out of the bike lanes, or if you're going to have construction, make sure that there's an alternate way. So as I say, we don't know what happened in this case, but what we do see, something pretty obvious, is there's a big construction bin in the curb lane. We also know this intersection is particularly dangerous, so it needs a lot more attention. We need, as a city, to say human safety is much more important than the movement of cars and trucks, and we need to address the problem of construction vehicles.
And while police continue their investigation into what happened here, they say that they're continuing to look for witnesses to find out more information as their investigation into this fatality also continues. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
One person is in life-threatening condition after a multi-vehicle crash in North Etobicoke. It happened at around 3:30 on Steeles Avenue and Steinway Boulevard, just east of the 427. 3 vehicles were involved in the collision. Police say a man in his 30s was taken to hospital with critical injuries. And a motorcyclist has died after a collision in Scarborough tonight. It happened on Shepherd Avenue and Atrium Lane at around 7:30. Police say the victim was a man in his 40s and he died in hospital. Toronto police are still searching for a passenger who stabbed an Uber driver in Scarborough yesterday. It took place inside the vehicle near the intersection of Kingston Road and Shepherd Avenue East. As Ryan Patrick Jones reports, the violence has one advocate calling for more protections for rideshare drivers.
Erla Phillips gets back behind the wheel after a morning driving for Uber. She says she's devastated to hear one of her fellow drivers was stabbed.
It hit me right in the heart because it could happen to any one of us. Any one of us could have a dangerous interaction with a passenger in our vehicles. And we have virtually no safety support for this.
Police say the stabbing happened inside the vehicle. The driver is in serious but stable condition. A male suspect in his 20s remains at large. Uber says it immediately banned the rider and has contacted the driver. It says it's taken steps to improve safety for drivers and delivery people, including GPS tracking, the ability to chat with a live safety agent, record audio of the trip, and an in-app emergency button. But Phillips says those measures don't go far enough.
I've had vandalism to my vehicle. I have had physical threats, been sexually harassed. The companies say they have these safety features in the app. Yeah, when I'm being assaulted, I'm really going to have time to be looking through the app for the safety features.
Phillips took matter into her own hands by installing a dash cam that records audio. She wants to see rideshare companies provide financial assistance so every driver can buy their own. But most importantly, she wants to see the apps verify all their riders using real names and photos.
We want data about the rider. We want your real name. We don't want people to be able to, have an account canceled and then go buy a gift card and some burner phone and put in a new email address when you've already been deactivated for assaulting or threatening a driver or whatever.
2.5 years ago, Uber Canada and a private sector union announced an agreement giving rideshare drivers access to some representation. But this union representative says gig workers in Ontario lack the same workplace health and safety protections as regular workers.
Workers don't feel as though they have a say in actually enacting any type of health and safety mechanisms or protections at work. There are no legal or legislative baselines that employers or companies in the spaces have to adhere to.
It's something the provincial government says it's working towards with its Working for Workers Act, adding as the world of work continues to change, we'll continue to explore additional supports and protections for workers. Ryan Patrick Jones, CBC News, Toronto.
With a record amount of rain falling in Toronto this month, the city is looking into ways to prevent flooding. Experts predict severe storms like last Tuesday's are becoming more frequent due to climate change. Tyler Cheese has more on what the city has in the works.
We have to take action. We know what needs to be done. Okay? It's a shared responsibility.
Last week's major storm saw almost 100 millimeters of rain falling in some areas of the city, causing flood damage in many neighborhoods. And experts say that wasn't a one-off.
We know that we're going to have many more storms like that. And that caused massive flooding on transit, on waterways, on roads, in Union Station. It caused a lot of basement flooding. And there are a lot of knock-on impacts like power outages. And so the state of affairs in Toronto is that we need to expect this volume of rainfall to fall more often, and we need to get ready for it.
That's why Mayor Olivia Chow is calling on city staff to look into strategies to ensure the city can handle excess amounts of rainfall in the future.
There are many different ways to mitigate the impact of the storms and heavy rain.
The mayor's motion recommends staff look into ways of incentivizing homeowners to make their properties more permeable, so things like installing sump pumps and backwater valves. More controversially, she's also requesting staff look into a potential stormwater charge. It's an idea that's been debated at council for years, with critics calling it a rain tax.
Whatever you want to call it, we do have a lot of rain. We do need to deal with stormwater. We need to deal with floods. And if we do nothing, that's irresponsible.
The difference this time is the stormwater charge would only apply to commercial properties, targeting those with large parking lots and other paved surfaces that cause excessive runoff.
Parking lots get away scot-free. So right now, if you're taking your shower or washing your clothes, you're subsidizing a parking lot. And you're doing nothing to improve flooding.
There's also hope the charge will act as an incentive to improve the city's paved spaces.
Right now, large commercial and industrial properties with lots over 1 hectare represent 1% of properties in Toronto, but they make up 37% of Toronto's hard surfaces. And so having a plan to transform those largest paved surface areas so that those paved surfaces absorb more stormwater is really, really important.
City staff are now expected to report back on the viability of these and other options later this year. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
The Beach's International Jazz Festival is kicking into full gear tonight. A stretch of Queen Street East is shutting down each night the next few days to make way for live music and entertainment, and all of it free. Our Nama Weingarten was there earlier this evening.
Street Fest has officially kicked off Thursday evening, and as you can tell, it's already starting to look pretty lively around here. This whole stretch of Queen Street East, right between Woodbine and Beach Avenues, will be closed until Saturday at midnight, and that's because this whole place is turning into one giant street dance party featuring a whole range of local artists.
It's going to be a great festival, and we're here to have some fun.
And for the food.
The food!
And the jazz music, duh! There's so much talent that's like underground, and like a festival is like the perfect place to show it off.
Performances will take place over the next 3 days from 7 to 11 p.m. Besides jazz, expect to hear some rock, hip-hop, and even nostalgic covers. And people here say there's no underestimating what this means to the local artists who get a chance to expose themselves to a whole new audience.
I've been doing this festival since I was 14 years old, and I'm in my 30s now. So for me, it's been a lot. It's been a long time playing here. So it's always like it's always pivotal for me to come back and do this show.
The children love to dance. If children dance to your music, you know you're doing right, because children are honest.
Along with a range of food trucks are local vendors from every walk of life.
My mom and me came up with a gibbet idea to sell shoe charms, and I think a lot of people really like them, so we would make a good amount of money.
We found the manufacturer, and we found like what lots of people would like, the most popular gibbets, so we can sell them here.
This is a part of a month-long beach jazz celebration that's been going on throughout July. It all started in 1989, when local jazz artists were booked to perform in the beach area of Toronto. They never stopped. Now, this is the festival's 36th-year anniversary.
Well, it's tremendous. It's a musical holiday. Each year I look forward to it, and watching all the people smile and enjoy it and come back year after year with their children and their grandparents, it's a great feeling.
And I guess for the greater beaches community, it's just a great sense of pride, I feel like, that we have for this event.
Now, if you are planning on coming by this weekend, make sure to dress for the weather because it is blistering hot right now and expect it to stay sunny all throughout the weekend. This festival, which is all free to attend, will go on until the end of Saturday night. Nama Weingarten, CBC News, Toronto.
New tonight, Bev Priestman, the head coach of the Canadian women's soccer team, has been suspended for the remainder of the Paris Olympics amid a drone spying scandal. According to Canada Soccer, within the last day, they received additional information regarding previous drone use against opponents predating the Paris Olympics. In light of the allegations, the decision was made to suspend Priestman for the remainder of the games and until an independent external review is complete. Assistant coach Andy Spence will lead the team for the remainder of the tournament. Tomorrow is the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in Paris. The Canada's men's basketball team begins its quest for gold on Saturday when they face Greece. Dwight Drummond caught up with the team recently when they were training in Toronto, including powerhouse father-son duo, general manager Rowan Barrett and Toronto Raptors superstar RJ Barrett.
This is the Olympics, so no matter what it is, you gotta be ready.
The kick, Barrett for three. RJ Barrett, and Canada leads by 9.
We're going to start with the talk in the Barrett household when it comes to the Olympics, because I've seen your dad's number 9 jersey up on the wall there, prominently displayed. So has that been a focus for you? Because the Olympics, I believe, especially in your household, would have been a goal from like day one.
Yeah, always. I mean, my dad would always say, look, you know what? You might go further in your NBA career than I did, but I've always made it to the Olympics. So until you've done that, you're not the head of the household. I said, all right. So now I told him, now since I'm going, I said, look, we're going to have to move yours over. Make some room for mine.
You're going to put up the number 9. You're going to put up your number 9 there, man.
Rowan Barrett started to show some of that offensive touch that was with him early in the tournament.
We came out here and played our hearts out. God was with us. How about that Canadian grit?
The last time Canada was in the Olympics, you were our team captain. We finally made it back, and here you are again, leading us off the court as the GM. Can you talk about that journey then from player to GM and how your playing days might influence how you are as a general manager?
Well, I think first it's passion for the work. Back in 2003, when we didn't qualify, Steve and I were out after the game, and we were just saying, look, one day when we are finished playing, we got to come back here and try to help. And all these years later, obviously now I'm kind of leading the charge. I think it speaks to the team around us that we have. So many people you don't get to see that just produce phenomenal results. When I was playing, I wasn't thinking about the management. I was thinking about who was directing. Like, you have the ball in your hands, right? It's 5, 4, 3, 2, and we're going to win. So I think the fact that I have a team to be able to lead speaks to the Gilgeous-Alexanders and the Kelly Olynyk's and the Dwight Powells and these guys and RJ. All these guys that have given so many years and decided, just quite frankly, they're tired of watching our flag get trampled on. They decided that they're going to step up and make this their program.
You took some flack for putting your son on the team. I remember the talk. Yeah. Are you feeling vindicated now? Because of this play?
Yeah. Look, I sit in the seat.
Well, it just happened to be that you were in the GM, and it just happened to be that your son was one of the better players in the country at the time.
So that year you're talking about, we put Shea at 18 and RJ at 16 to play on the senior national team.
Yes.
To go on a little bit of a summer tour. They were getting ready for a major competition. And yes, there was some flack. Years later, obviously, Shea and RJ were starting on our team, and in the fourth quarter, in the overtime against the USA, and won our first medal.
They are Olympic bound. They are bronze medalists, and the first ever for the men's program to achieve such a thing.
We hear a lot about your dad because, he played with your godfather, Steve Nash, at the Olympics. But, mom needs some credit too. Your mom comes from a family of Olympians. So the question always been in the Barrett household, where does the athletic prowess come from? Is it mom or dad? Because your mom's family sent folks to the Olympics too.
Honestly, my dad was really athletic, but like all the athleticism really is on my mom's side.
Really?
Oh yeah, like my mom ran track, my aunt ran for Jamaica in the Olympics. Like everything really comes from, even like my cousin plays football and runs track at the University of Arkansas.
Really?
Yeah, everything's really on my mom's side. Yeah, everything's on my mom's side.
Let's give mom some love. What's some of the favorite things to do when you come home? At that now, I'm saying coming home, you play for our Raptors, so you are home all the time now.
I'm home
What's
now.
it like?
It's amazing because, I just remember things like I love to go to the movies, or I go to Dimitri's. My dad would always take me to Dimitri's.
Now, that's a dessert spot for those of you who don't know.
Yeah,
in the GTA, those tall sundaes, banana
things
split.
like that. Even like, Osmo's, like just everything that I can't do in the States, like I do when I'm here.
You're just happy to come home and do.
Tim Hortons, like everything, I do that when I'm home.
How proud is this a moment for you and your family? I mean, your dad went, now you're going to the Olympics. Talk about it.
Yeah, I think it means a lot. Just specifically, I'll say for me, just because the last time the men's team was able to go to the Olympics for basketball, my dad was there wearing number 9, and now I'm going to go wearing number 9, so that's pretty cool.
Dream fulfilled.
Yeah.
And now you're going for gold as the number 2 team ranked in the tournament, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know FIFA has you guys 7, but Vegas is putting you guys at number 2, RJ. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Chris Potter joining us now with more on how the weather's looking as we near the end of the work week. And Chris, today was great. I'm happy for more of the same.
More of the same is en route for you and everyone else, Kelda. It looks fantastic. And once again, I keep mentioning the fact that it doesn't always work this way. When we get into the traditional weekend for Saturday and Sunday, sometimes we get into rainy weekends. This time, not so much. I think Blind Melon said it best. No rain. And that's going to be the story all the way through Monday. It's Tuesday and into Wednesday of next week that we start to get back into the opportunity for rainfall. So not much will change. The one thing that will be the temperatures. Well, we'll make it 2 things, because humidity levels will increase as well as we get through the weekend, because today daytime highs were actually trending a bit below normal. 27.1 is that magic number. We peaked at that value yesterday. Today we were peaking at where we should be, probably late June, early July, 24, 25. That was basically our daytime high for today, and the humidity levels were fairly low as well. So what you saw is what you got in terms of what it will feel like. In terms of active weather, not much to point out. The exception, Eastern Ontario, still dealing with some showers, still dealing with cloud cover, still dealing with breezy winds. But for us, with high pressure continuing to build in, we're into stable weather. Drier, fresher air is moving in. It's not necessarily dramatically cooler through the daytime hours because obviously we're in midsummer heat in terms of the sunshine, but those overnight lows will be a little bit more comfortable for you for sleeping. In terms of what will happen with high pressure building in, like I said, not much. All the active weather will be forced to the north over far northern Ontario towards Hudson Bay. We are protected thanks to a weak blocking pattern. What does that mean? Not much will change, like I said before. The only thing that will be the temperatures. And once again, that's going to be driven by the fact that high pressure moves through southern Ontario and advances to our east. Winds circulate clockwise around high pressure, so that will stabilize a warmer southwesterly wind. But look at the nice run of sun we get into. Friday. Sunshine, maybe a few clouds out there on the horizon. That's it, with daytime highs around 27. Humidity, not a dramatic impact as well. It's probably going to feel as high as maybe 28, 29. By Saturday, we have daytime highs climbing towards 28. The winds are still light, generally coming in from the south. Great day to get out and enjoy no matter what you're doing. And I should point out, this is the forecast for all of southern Ontario as well. For Sunday, the heat begins to creep back in. Highs around 30, probably going to feel like the mid-30s. By Monday, similar story with increasing clouds late in the day. But at this point, we're going to keep the forecast dry with a high of 30. It probably will still feel like 36 to 37. And by Tuesday, daytime highs will climb up towards 29 to 30. And that might mean that we get into, well, unsettled weather in the form of showers and thunderstorms. And we might, given the fact that those overnight lows will be in the 20s as well, have that heat warning back from Environment Canada. So a nice run of sun, get out there and enjoy it. Remember that sunscreen though, UV index each day, very high.
Definitely need that sunscreen. Thanks so much, Chris. That's our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching.